Hello everyone, this is Liz, aka Poetry in Motion, and welcome back to the Midweek Roundup, a show where each week I look back at the last chapter of Sanctuary or Clanjarin, read your comments, and answer your questions. So, this week's chapter was late, again, and I feel really bad about that. I know you guys were all like, no, it's totally fine, but I feel bad about it. It's just it's something that comes with having chronic illness where you're just like, you have to cancel a lot of things, and so you become very possessive of the things where you're like, yes, every week I'm going to do this, no fail whatsoever. I figured this week that I would actually take a little bit of time and give you guys a little primer on Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, or EDS, which is what I have, and which is what caused the complications on Saturday. If you don't want to, listen to that, that's perfectly fine. Just skip forward a couple minutes in the video. But I feel like this is, important for me to explain because this is a big part of who I am and who I am as a writer, who I am as a person. So I just wanted to invite you guys into that. So Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is a connective tissue disorder that, wow, I was having a moment and then the dog's cool. Okay, so Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is a connective tissue disorder that affects how your body makes collagen. And since collagen is basically like the glue that holds your whole body together, it can have a lot of complications with like all the systems in your body. Like it can affect your skin, how that's made, it can affect your stomach, it can affect pretty much any organ that has any collagen in it, it can affect it. For me though, it mostly affects my joints and my muscles. So I have a lot of chronic joint pain and a lot of pain in my back and in my legs especially. And there are some days where it's like, hey, I can run around, yesterday was one of those days where I baked for like 3 hours. I made dinner, I felt great. And then there are days like Saturday where I can't get out of my bed, And actually, let me show you. Let me see. This is my wheelchair that I use sometimes. Right now it's a chair drobe of sorts. Did you see it? Okay, yes. But yeah, there are days where I have to use a wheelchair to get places. There are days where I have to use a cane or other assistive device. But, that can also affect me mentally. Just because you're physically sitting doesn't mean that you can write. You know what I mean? It's being in pain is exhausting. Like, I don't know if any of you guys have like invisible illnesses or chronic pain disorders, but first thing I want to tell you is I see you. You are valid, and even if nobody else can see your disability, you are perfectly valid, okay? That's just laying that out. But secondly, it can be very hard to mentally do anything when you're in one of those flare-ups where you're just basically stuck in bed all day. So it's hard to do anything productive, much less, write like I want to write. So that's basically why sometimes my chapters are a little late. It's not that I'm flaky or anything. It's just I physically cannot do it, And I'm not saying all of this for you guys to be sorry for me. Like, that's the last thing I want. More, I want to raise awareness for invisible illnesses. I want to raise awareness for EDS. I'm very open about having a disability. I'm very open about having autism. I'm open about all of that. And it's very important for me to be completely transparent with anybody that I come into contact with. I'm disabled, I have autism, I'm queer, I'm a woman, deal with it, It's the whole package. So yeah, that's that's basically what's been going on with, on Saturday I had a really bad flare up. I'm thinking about maybe writing a post on spoon theory on Tumblr, because that's how I tend to measure my energy levels, my ability to do things. So that's probably coming up this week, along with the little mini one shot that I have inadvertently written myself into writing. That's going to be out tomorrow. So yeah, look for the content on Tumblr. I've got the link in the description to my Tumblr, to my Twitter, to my AO3 profile. So yeah, go ahead and click on those, because there's going to be a lot of content this week. Okay, so if you're joining us again after fast forwarding a few minutes to skip out on the EDS stuff, hi, how's it going? All right, so let's start with the AO3 comments and then flip it over to Tumblr. So for this fight scene, I am going to go ahead and just confide something in you guys. I'm terrible at writing fight scenes. It doesn't come easily to me. It doesn't come like that, you know what I mean? Like the introspective kind of mood chapters, that's where I shine, but action is not necessarily my forte. So what I did is I wrote it out, because I'm also a D&D player. So I wrote it out as if it were an encounter that you would have in D&D. So I am so sorry about my dogs. Okay, Sam, we get it. There's probably a person out there. But I actually have 17 handwritten pages of just script, of just Din and Ellis and Naina and Tobalis, all just, as if they were players, sitting around a table playing an encounter in D&D. I have 17 handwritten pages of that, and that's what it took for me to be able to write that fight scene. It was really fun. Like, I was just sitting there just rolling dice for myself and writing out scripts, and it was great. But yeah, that is I'm probably going to post some pictures of that process on Tumblr too. Hint hint, go and give it a look. But yeah, I am very happy that you all seem to enjoy the fight scene. It's actually kind of funny, because the Calico actually commented on the chapter before this week's chapter and said, Din is going to be pissed if Baz starts shooting at him with his own gun. And I was like, well, isn't that fortuitous? You're very good at guessing, Calico, because he absolutely does. And that last line from Din is one of my favorite things I've ever written. It's just like, I'd say it's more than fair, considering that if I weren't instructed to bring you in alive, I would have shot you in the head with it. I was like, oh, I love it, So, yeah, good guess, Calico. And with that, let's get into this week's comments. Sheena is a punk rocker, my girl. Another plot twist. Yes, another plot twist. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And it's a doozy. Jode Kajibafujaba Shakoma Kudusu. I just woke up, so sorry for not being more wordy here, but rest assured I love this chapter. Well, thank you, Sheena. I really appreciate it. I know how that works. Like, when I wake up first thing in the morning, I'm like, words? Who's she? I don't know what a word is, But, yeah, I had been, when I first discovered Ellis as a character, I tossed it back and forth as to whether they would be force sensitive, because I was like, oh great, another force sensitive character, woo. But then I was like, hold on, they're Mirialan, and Mirialan culture has a very deep tie to belief in the Force, and there are a lot of Force sensitive Mirialans, and so I was like, it would make a lot more sense that for Ellis to be force sensitive than for her not to be. So I decided to put that in, but she does hide it a little bit. And you'll find out why. I'm thinking this chapter or next, but yeah, it's. I also wanted to introduce that force sensitivity because, as you know, as Mando like watches her, Din kind of comes back like, "Oh my god, she's force sensitive. She can help me teach my baby how to use the force. This is great." And then he gets kind of smacked back into the fight scene. But yeah, Ellis is force sensitive. But they are not a Jedi and they are not a Sith. They're not a gray Jedi either. They're just a Mirialan who happens to be force sensitive. So yeah, that is going to come into play in a chapter or two. So stay tuned. And Sheena caps off her comment with, "Oh, before I forget, dat flashback." And then Kit mentions the flashback. Kit comments on Sheena's comment and says, "Yes, we need you, Liz, to finish the scene. Please finish the scene." Well, I mean, if you're asking me by my name and not my username, I guess I have to, right? So Clan Jarn's going to the beach tomorrow because I honestly didn't expect to write that scene in full. I just kind of wanted a little snippet of, you know, Mando taking off the armor and being like, "Oh, that feels so nice," because it's so hot, where it's so hot in the present day that he thinks back to how nice it was to take it off in the air conditioning and with Omera right there. So I wanted him to flash back a little bit, but I did not expect to be inspired to write a whole scene about it. So yeah, that's going to be posted probably tomorrow, and it's probably going to be its own doc. It's probably not going to be part of the Journey On, so keep an eye on that. Tomorrow I'll be posting about it and tweeting about it, so if you miss it, you'll find it. RPCV Liz says, "Don't apologize for taking the time you need. The twists in the past couple chapters have been worth the wait." I am so glad. That makes me really happy because I am very much a person that's like, "Oh, I want this twist to mean something. I want this to be something that people engage with." So I'm very glad that you like it, and I love reading your comments, so keep them coming. Kit1 says, "Wow, that was an awesome surprise. I love how this whole series is coming. I mean, Baz seemed off in A Journey On. Like, this guy that owns a flower shop knows so much about weapons, like a lot, then boom, he's the target. I love when OCs are already developed, that they already seem part of the original. I see the amount of work that you put into this, and thank you. Your story is worth waiting for. Don't worry. Take your time. I always refresh no matter what." Kit, when I first read this, you almost made me cry. Like, really. You are a sweetheart, and I really appreciate you reading, and I appreciate your patience with me. It's just, you're a great reader, and I really appreciate you. So, yeah. Baz being the target was not originally in my plan. I knew that they were going to encounter an ex-stormtrooper, and that was going to spark off the rest of the plot, which I just almost spoiled for you. And, yeah, but I hadn't really thought about, oh, maybe this florist who knows a lot about guns is it, until I was writing the scene and went, "Whoa, we can see some plot threads here." That was an exciting moment for me because I was like, "Yo, I did that." I don't mean to sound like self-absorbed or anything. I don't mean to sound like braggy or whatever. It's just sometimes when you're a writer and you write something, sometimes you gotta praise yourself. Sometimes you gotta be like, "You are so clever, you did it," And it's so rewarding when people actually read it and are like, "Oh yeah, that was good." So Thank you so much. I'm so glad that that plot twist hit, you know? That was very important. All right, and finally, I'm gonna bop on over to Tumblr for Plain Ray. Hi, Plain Ray. As I've said before, I'm a little behind on this series. Whoops, that's okay. You know, let me know when you catch up. But I read through the latest chapter. I like well-written battle scenes, sue me. And as with anything in this fic, it doesn't disappoint. Love the pacing, love the action, love that the descriptions put me smack dab in the middle of conflict that feels urgent, realistic, and like it's pulled right out of an episode of The Mandalorian. Okay, I have to pause right there and let you know that when I read that, I literally squealed and almost dropped my phone because I was on my phone. I literally just went, I just squealed a little bit and went, oh my god, somebody just compared me to the source material. Oh my god. I lost it. Okay, continuing on. Also loving the play on Jaren's duality, Mando versus Din, and how his tone, attitude, mannerisms, etc. shift based on what personality he assumes for the job, i.e. no nonsense and gruff as Mando, sensitive and nurturing as Din. Nicely done. And then they mention in the tags that, you know, Din's plans often devolve into just walking headfirst into the bullets. And then I was like, I love it. I too love it when Din's plans devolve into, I'm basically a human tank. I can take it, you know? It's just, he's a himbo and we love him. But yeah, that's a very important, exploring duality is something that happens a lot in not just like my work for The Mandalorian, but for my work pretty much everywhere else. I explore duality in my poetry, which I'm thinking about posting a little bit more of on Tumblr. I explore it in short stories. I'm exploring it in the fantasy novel that I'm writing right now. Duality is a very important sort of subject, theme for me. And so it was very gratifying to read that it was effectively used here, and I am very happy that you're enjoying it, Plain Ray. Please let me know when you catch up, or you know what you like, what you didn't like. Just hit me up, okay? All right. So that is going to wrap it up for this week. This week we've got 2 installments because apparently I couldn't help but write a beach scene. So Clan Jaren's going to the beach tomorrow, which is Thursday, August 6th. And then on the 8th, we are going to go ahead and chug right on along and see what else Baz might have up his sleeve for our lovely Din Djarin and the Navarro 3. All right, you guys, fight the good fight, have a good week, and I will see you on Saturday.